sounded like an Atlas distress call. They need help down there. Getting Atlas on our side would be a good start to finding the vault here. If we can back them up, maybe they'll help. Us. Or at least not kill us while we search. That distress call was coming from the city outskirts. We need to get you down to the surface, but we don't have access to the Promethean fast travel network.
Way ahead of you, Lil. Vault Hunter, come down to the cargo bay and let's chat.
I'm sure we'll be doing this all again. I've got bullets with you.
The best things in life are free, because then you can sell them for a huge markup.
Buy it before it's gone. Tell your friends.
You look tough. We're friends now. Beat down some fanatics for me. I'm freaking sick of this.
Well, I'm bored as hell. Maybe I should go shoot something.
Later.
Keep it up, sugar, and I might have to find a way to show my appreciation. Good to get off Pandora for a bit and see how my other bar franchises are doing. You're always welcome at Moxie's, sugar.
Barrel fire sounds pretty good right about now.
I should get a hobby. Other than liquor. forget.
Ain't staying for a new you. You can see yourself. I'm sure.
If you die, I'll be pissed.
So, I rigged up our drop pod with a fast travel unit. Once you're planet side, it'll hook up with the local network and you can come right back up. Now, it won't be what you call comfortable or trustworthy or safe by any measure. I'm just listing things, ain't no bud at the end of that. Except these two hams you've been checking out. I saw ya. Anyway, get in and I'll launch it. Hey, listen, I know Lil's putting on a good face, but she's hurting. We're all gonna have to pick up the slack. I know you're up to it, sweet cheeks.
EA Skate franchise was coming back. At time of writing, the game isn't out yet, but my opinion on the matter has soured significantly over the past couple of years, ever since I learned that it was going to be a free-to-play game. And free-to-play games by EA are never a good combination. I'm going to make an educated assumption and say it's probably going to be heavily restrictive and basically have no content unless you're willing to spend stupid amounts of money. And I'm also going to assume that it's going to be always online, and therefore as soon as they want to pull the plug, the game will basically cease to exist, and we will have yet another reason to lament the state of the modern industry. But for those of you who aren't aware of the EA Skate franchise, and to those of you wanting to take a trip down memory lane, allow me to reacquaint you or acquaint you with the EA Skate franchise and what made it so awesome. And in the end, what ultimately killed it. Spoilers, EA. So if you're too young to remember 2007, and it's not an impressive thought, let me take you back. In this particular era, the series that ruled the roost as far as skateboarding video games were the Tony Hawk games. But by 2007, the series had been going on for almost a decade and had long since lost much of its steam, particularly due to the fact that they had basically run out of new mechanics to add to the games, and partially due to general burnout, having made at least one new game every year since 1999. Plus, to be quite frank, Tony Hawk's star had faded quite a bit. It's a name that didn't quite carry as much weight as it did. Audiences had seemingly long jumped off the bandwagon of the Tony Hawk series, but it was still the defining voice of this subgenre of games. That defining voice being over-the-top arcade action, where you could do 900 spins on flats and no drop is too big for you to land. It was understood that that was what skateboarding games were and what fans of skateboarding games wanted, but only because nobody had really tried anything else on a major level. The most recent game that had tried a more realistic take on skateboarding gameplay that made any significant waves whatsoever was Thrasher Skate and Destroy back in 1999. But with the audience of Tony Hawk games seemingly growing weary of the repetitive formula, there was a gap in the market for something different, a brand new take on skateboarding video games to really reignite the stagnant genre. So it fell to a little company based out of Burnaby, British Columbia called EA Black Box to capitalize. EA Black Box is most famous for their work on the Need for Speed franchise. They were the original developers of They Like, I remember there was this one time where there was a competition being run by this guy who called himself Hippie Mike. I was sitting on the sidelines, and he was talking about how much chaos was going on, and he turned to the kid next to him and said, "Hey, can you spell chaos?" And the kid says C-H-O-S, and without missing a beat, Mike just says, "That's right, there's a lot of chaos going on." So you can really tell the developers made sure to nail down the beat of the game. There are a few things that didn't go well, and I think a good example would be the visuals. Obviously, in 2007, the game doesn't really but that's not the issue. The issue is the visual style. I know exactly what they were going for. I've seen gameplay videos, and I know that they were specifically making the game to look like it was being shot by an actual person with an actual camera skating over you. The problem is that only extends so far. Cutting the corners off to make it look like it's being filmed with a fisheye lens, I'm down with that. I actually like that idea. The low angle is not ideal, but it's acceptable. But where I draw the line is the fact that the majority of this game looks like it's being shot by a camera that has its exposure set so high. The sky is that makes the visuals hard to make out. It's just not visual.
Looked like a rough ride. Still with us, killer?
Still, if you're willing to put up with that, the visuals get the job done. Gameplay-wise, I think I threw up my entire skeleton.
As long as you're alive. Looks like Ellie got you within the city limits. Go find whoever made that distress call.
In this case, they have down, we'll stand still, turning it up to the right, we'll do a kickflip, doing a rotation from the middle of the pivot, doing an half rotation, doing a
Okay, Maurice, I think I killed a ghost.
I may have been able to pick this game up after 18 decade and Maurice requires it for you. I would say for every one successful attempt in a specific line, I have 5 unsuccessful attempts, which once again is keeping with the spirit. I have to sift through hours worth of footage to find the right spots, but it's an incredible challenge, and my god, is it satisfying when you finally nail it. Getting that exact, precise movement that you were looking for to finally nail what you were going for. Admittedly, I do abuse this 360 motor flip a bit much because it's one of the most complex skateboarding maneuvers you can do, and it's matched by the clockwise rotation from the right followed by a diagonal flip to the right. But naturally, it gives you the most fun. Admittedly, I would say that without having the game, it doesn't really matter what kind of trips you're doing because the challenges are granted, there was a place where that's why that's the things that limit the game. Sometimes the game
Try to keep up.
But either way, I had trouble with speaking. But the skating program of the game.
What the fuck just happened?
I've been said that this game has the most realistic and
Really?
I'm not sure if that's entirely true, but I did notice that despite immediately knowing the visual, I felt that I was failing more in this game than any of the other games that you played. That's not to say it's bad. I think the balance is just fun. They didn't even increase the difficulty if you were in switch stance. And trust me, trying to skate in switch stance is like doing the
Try not dying.
the only changes to switch stance is that the trick inputs will be weird. So and also, which controls are weird. Yeah, this game has individual with your stance. If you're going to switch, your front leg is not your back leg, and therefore you push longer with that button, which may seem rather inconsequential, but if there's one rule you must know about skateboarding, it's that you do not push speaking a completely different language, so the controls are a compelling challenge to master, and had I not already had this would be quite frustrating to get into, and that's why these games are slightly
Hey, Superman! You finally made it! We've been here for ages. Oh, thank Lilith for the cool powers. This Firehawk thing rules. Oh, have fun. Bye.
Remember to live life slightly.
Oh, look. Dead meat. Get good or get dead, scrub. Let's crack it open.
There is a degree of thing, and you can pick whatever, at least of the available missions. And they also have a very organic game where you can just activate sport and fulfillment sessions to fill up one of the 2 meters. And in that case, you're given a specific set of objectives. You can activate them whenever, so you can find the perfect spot you want to do them. Granted, this probably means you're going to end up doing a lot of missions in the same area, assuming you can find a good spot. And nowadays, you can have
Always nice to see friendly face.
but by that point, you probably don't need to do tasks anymore. And that X Games challenge, winning that is quite easy. Overall, the imaginatively titled Skate was a success in pretty much every way. It had a few kinks that needed to iron out, but generally speaking, it hit all the right notes.
Slag me! You've got some good timing. These bandits somehow got their hands on some
Wicked marijuana guns. Oh, right. I'm Lorelei. Did I send you?
I don't know, Reese.
This was the games that I started with. Where was I introduced to the game? Well, I feel like this is a running joke at this point because this is how my story with Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed, Dead Rising, Infamous, and a number of other franchises started. My sister bought the game. I backseated a lot of it with her, and I eventually played it myself. While Skate 2 isn't vastly better than the first game, it feels like the type of iteration that effectively replaces the previous entry in the
My
same
boss,
way that
CEO of Atlas?
replaced previous entries. Because while skateboarding is more conducive to video games than other sports games, the skate games are still grounded enough in reality to essentially be replaceable in that way. Maybe you disagree, that's fine. But Skate 2 really does come across as a refinement that doesn't concern itself with reinventing the wheel. The plot this time around is pretty much a repeat
We're at
outside
war
of
with
the
Malawan?
fair enough, because
Not from around here, are you?
yeah, that's kind of the one thing I'm not a fan of in this series, even though the intended final challenge...
Now all these maniacs show up all over the city screaming about some vault.
Thank the Calypsos for that. I'm here to reach the vault before they leave.
The Calypsos? Those yammering echo assholes with the cult? Well, I got no slaggy clue about vaults, but Reese would know. Come on, I gotta tell him about
Our new bandit problem anyway. I'll introduce you.
Protagonist for some reason went to jail for 5 years between games, and the intro cinematic is you being let out of jail. Much like the first game where you're allegedly being operated on by a bunch of different famous escape.
I'm good to go here. The place is compromised anyway. Let me know when you're ready. Grab some wheels. We need to drive through the spillways, and there's always trouble.
I wonder how much of this is supposed to be canon.
Malawan pushed most of the Atlas forces back to HQ, but I've got a small team working behind enemy lines. I have to make sure they haven't been overrun with all these bandits running around. I'll be honest, Atlas forces are gutted. I've been using what resources I've got left to keep the civ safe and disrupt Malawan's supply lines. Can't remember the last time I slept in a bed. Ugh, I miss. Where the hell did these bandits get hover wheels? That's Malawan tech. Let's take one out, see if we can find where they're getting this stuff. Nice, I see an echo in the wreckage. Grab it.
Unfortunately, they decided to shoot themselves direction, and due to various issues, the band no longer exists.
One more time, and I'm gonna say it slowly. Don't kill the Malawan guy.
Kill the Malawan guy! For you! For my queen! For my...
No. Okay. This energy, I love it, but we made a deal with Malawan, and now we're not going to kill them. So, what are we going to do when we see a Malawan guy?
Kill the Malawan guy! For Tyree! For the twins! God!
Yeah, okay, gotta start this one over.
The spin-off Skata, the city that the first two games were set in, San Benalona, was hit by a surge of earthquakes that flooded the city. And so the
bandits are working with Malawan! Bloody fantastic!
As the canon escape games. Apparently this was just so they had an excuse to make the city empty and
My people are inside.
that was a
Let me do the talking.
PS game, and they needed the extra resources. Either way, the city had been rebuilt, and I feel like the design is quite a
Oi,
bit better.
Skyman! Open up!
Password?
Where the top is very
Passwords, open the bloody door before I shove a coffee grinder up your ass.
It's definitely her, guys. Welcome back, sir.
Report. How's it looking?
Lots of movement. Bandits and Malawan
eventually becomes almost sprawling as you get to the downtown and town areas, but then it starts to narrow and narrow and narrow.
Stay sharp, Skyman. Come on, Vault Hunter, this way.
Meanwhile,
There's an Atlas base nearby with a direct line back to Reese and HQ. Malawan captured it a few months ago. I haven't had the manpower to take it back, but now that you're here, maybe we can finally send those bastards packing.
it wasn't bad by any
See these
means, but I feel
civilians?
like focusing
Malawan doesn't care if they're caught in the crossfire. They're here to take over Atlas and sell Reese's new weapons as their own. To them, this war is just a merger.
always a unique experience.
Let me know when you're ready to take back that Atlas base.
Fantastic. The new city is filled to the brim with ridiculously over-the-top protection and set pieces, and they make the most of it with the mission story. They did remove the organic parts of the progression, that is to say the parts where you're given a goal and free
Payback's all right, yeah.
Right,
so, as you can see, life sucks.
But I'd say they more than
There's
make
these
up for
two
it.
Malawan guys,
The trade-off
and
of all
that's
the new
who are
fantastic
cracking it up in
protection
particular.
is that there are
Trying to out-war crime each other.
One of them murdered my family. I don't know who. Find out who did it and kill him.
Oh, bullets! Malawan's in the tunnels! Take him out!
But you're given a solution.
I killed that family! You're going after me!
Everything you need to know about Nick's campaign
These guys both suck ass, which means we can't trust either of them. You gotta figure out who killed who if I'm gonna get my revenge.
Pretty sure that's illegal, but what are you gonna do? This is part of their endeavor to give you more things to do with your money other than spend it on cosmetics. And if you're like me and don't really care about the cosmetic aspects of the game, you're probably not even gonna change out of your default outfit. At least
Come on, out with ya!
I always find hell
the customization is nice, but
Customer's always right, bitch. Come on, we're heading to Watershed Base. Through here. Malawan's bloody well entrenched. Get ready for a fight.
Game to game. Call him Jag Balls. I tried to make him look like a grown-up version of what I looked like as a teenager, but I think I ended up just making a cross between Johnny Gat and Robbie Ralph. As far as money is concerned, there are multiple services you can make, one of which is the ability to trade rules, which is textual and will use multiple spots in the entire game. But then you have Mike's uncapping service. This is a very cool thing. Modern architecture is specifically designed to prevent multiple skating over there. This guy Mike endeavors to remove the barriers that are blocking landscape for a vehicle. You can still work your way around it, but it's far easier not to. The one thing that sucks is that you can't use the uncapping service if you're in the middle of a mission. You use it when you quit as the mission first, which is just more trouble than it's worth half the time. But with that said, cap spots are actually pretty rare. I'd serve for like 20 minutes just to find one and demonstrate that you can. I think part of what makes the world's architecture feel a bit more grandiose comes down to the fact that there's a significantly increased focus on verticality. There are so many big areas that build into big drops for you to play around with, and I feel like the increased focus on verticality comes down to one thing, and that's your ability to actually get off your skateboard and walk around. And now that's breaking new ground, showing that skateboarders actually have feet. Therefore, the map doesn't have to be built around the idea you can't go upstairs, and therefore you have a lot more stairs. Hilariously, the ability to get off your skateboard also begets a feature of the skateboarder is evidently more sensitive when it towards his skateboard, so he can summon it at will. That's awesome. Granted, the input controls are awkward as all get out. Trying to navigate this one stair set to get up to this Danny Way mission takes forever, but I imagine that the ability to get off your board was seen as a bit of an afterthought and a bit of a means to an end, and therefore it wasn't tested very well, hence the most famous glitch in the series, and for its time, possibly one of the more famous glitches in games generally, if you do a specific button combination that involves getting on your board.
I am a siren, like the destroyer. My kind has been called by many names. Oracle, angel, wish. Rarely are the names used kindly. I used to hate the ones who feared us, believing them ignorant. I think now, after what I have done, I better understand.
Personally, I think if it was the ability to get on and off your board that made them able to open up the game so much, then I applaud them for that, because so many missions are built around these insane stunts, working on a ridiculous scale. Dropping 200 feet off this sign, or this 100-foot drop off a dilapidated apartment building, or the murder board. This is the #1 activity I spend my time doing in this game once it's properly unlocked. Once you get past a certain point in the game, Sammy, the person who drains the pools, will then drain
Vault Hunter? What are you doing up in here?
Claptrap said something about a lost staff at Mount Schuler.
Seriously? I put that request up like 7 years ago, back when I had a respectable establishment, not this crap pile you see now. But I am glad you're here. See, I'm trying to help out all the poor bastards affected by this war, but yo, straight up, we are running short on med supplies. We need hexaprizine, skag oil, melodinax, and hemopacks. Track some down for me, will ya?
They had some weird issue where in Skate 2, after a certain point, missions stop showing up. Therefore, I can never progress far enough to be able to do them. So I have a bit of a psychological complex in that respect. The same thing weirdly happens to Red Dead Redemption and Dead Nightmare. For some reason, after a certain point, missions just stop showing up. It's funny though, many of these large drop-in missions are optional, and the only thing you unlock is a bunch of spawn points for large drop-ins to play around with. And that's A-okay for me. More drop-ins, more tricks, and all the more chances to get in.
I'm not just a doctor in medicine, my practice. But my residency was in rhyme.
Essentially a celebration.
Oh snap, I forgot to give you a mixtape. Do you want one?
Oh, I don't.
They turned this into a game. This was a thing in the first game as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're concentrating on your flow.
And also, it's in one of my places. But in this game, they connect it to the game. You have different types of failed conditions and each of us gradually gets harder because they decide to make this a challenge. The game is practically built around getting the most spectacular fails.
Some bandits jacked a bunch of my medical supplies. Find them and blast their janky ride.
And as sadistic as it sounds, There is something so viscerally enjoyable about that. The benefit of the fact that these games are going to fight the realism.
Oh, snap! They're getting away! After them! Yes! That was gangster! Hey! Out! Now grab those supplies and get out of there!
Time to open you up.
And it's one of those rare cases where I think EA did the right thing by not messing with the formula. I mean, there were a few new features, like maybe Escape's code and that's stuff. So Skate 2 is almost the same, but still an improvement over Skate 1. But it has one fatal flaw. It is impossibly hard to
Oh, shit, the pharmacy. Been abandoned for a while, but there should be some supplies left. Heard this place was infested, though. Squash those ratchet-ass rats.
And the other one is the mission Can You Spell? It's a game of skate between you, Eric Ball, and my God, these people will just not. They will sometimes have conflicts in the room where they make the same issue with
I got some supplies here, and I'm serious to sell them.
This time coming out just over a year
I'm just trying to feed my family. You understand, right? Please, don't shoot. There's been enough bloodshed around here. Just give me the cash, and we can make a deal.
Yeah, we've all got a sob story. As for me, I've got patience to heal and no patience to deal. Just threaten him and be done with it.
You don't know what it's like down here. People don't eat for days. It's a nightmare.
Fine, but you're lucky I'm in a good mood.
Wow, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me and my family.
But instead of using this as an opportunity to have you injured or
Yo, that's all the medicine! You still need another hemo pack, but we'll figure it out. Come on back, player. I know what you're thinking. What's this doctor doing trying to be a rapper? But listen, medicine, it comes and goes. But my rhymes, that's healing for the soul. Look, just let me spit something for you. See, I bust raps like I bust caps, and that's that. Don't mess with my knapsacks full of fat stacks, or else you get the clapbacks. Word? Word.
Camera that is the view we see the game. And in this case, it's placed by a guy named Shingo. I don't know. I at least have a passing familiarity with both of those games, but these two guys beats me. In any case, this is again a
Looks like we're still a little short on hemoglobin. Hemoglobin Disrobin is the title track of my mixtape, by the way.
My brand is the same as my character name, Jack.
Okay, screw it. I'll donate some of my name variation. Give me an assist.
Jag, JB, and BJ. Functionally speaking, the progression in this game is sort of a combination of the first and second game. It has the linear progression of the second game, while also having an experience bar in the form of the amount of boards you've sold. And for every milestone you pass, you unlock a new area to customize, as well as the occasional major story mission. So yeah, it's a good setup. It allows the tasks and general difficulty to escalate naturally, and your story missions are about to And unlike last time, we don't have any major stuff blocks. It's a nice steady uphill that never goes over the top. Plus, even though I usually don't with the tutorial missions in these games because I have to, I decided to this time around, mostly because
but at least maybe this will finally give me some street cred. Maybe I'll get one of those sweet Atlas robot arms. But hey, don't worry about me. I'll survive. So my patience, thanks to you. Now Schuler is finally ready to staff up and heal the hurt.
Congratulations, you know what's up. But right from the beginning,
by the way, that Harden guy stopped by. Wanted you to have this. His way of saying thanks, I guess.
I think this might actually be the first soundtrack.
Last chance on that mixtape, by the way.
Though that is subjective. The first game was a lot of music that I could listen to with a few bangers here and there. The second game was 80 to 90% classic, but this game has so much of nothing. A lot of it is just mediocre punk rock. Now here's the thing, I like punk rock when there's a melody and a singer that sounds like they're actually trying. Bad Religion and the Dead Kennedys are probably my favorites, but a lot of the punk rock on this soundtrack just feels like people randomly hitting their instruments while the quote-unquote singer just yells at them. Like, it's not good in my opinion. Then you have some essential pop, like 5% and decent rap, and maybe like 5 songs that I actually like. The main theme, Coming Home by Cheeseburger, is pretty good. Psychedelic Reggae by Tommy Cook and the Supersonics is pretty good, and the only 2 songs that I would actually put on the playlist to listen to in my spare time would be Eyes of a Panther by Steel Panther, that ironic 80s hair metal throwback band, which I swear weren't a thing in 2011, but apparently they were. And the other one is Immortal by Dream Evil. Otherwise, the soundtrack is just weak. I'm much better putting on my own music, but even then, that's still a fairly minor issue. The most major issue you're going to notice playing this game, especially after playing the second game, is that the physics feel really... These 2 games felt really heavy, but...
Anybody counting?
And also, the biggest downgrade is the bail, as well as the Hall of Meat. It's just not fun to bail on it. You hit the ground like a partially filled water balloon instead of a sack of meat. They made the Hall of Meat a slightly elaborate game mode where you have to do specific tasks from abandoned points, and these different poses you can do now give you specific functions. Like in Cannonball Pose, you can pick off the ground, and Spread Eagle Pose, you can glide because that makes sense. In Torpedo Pose, you can spin rapidly, and I've never been quite sure what the function of the Judo Pose is. It kind of just misses the point in both directions, because part of the appeal of all of these is how organically results in the gameplay. It doesn't start hard and fast game you can simply activate. Although you can't set it so the Hall of Meat mode activates in the same way the Hall of Meat was active in the previous game, but even then, you still have to deal with the fact that it just doesn't feel as viscerally satisfying to fail anymore. So this game's kind of took a step away from realism, and I feel like it's worse off for it. As a matter of fact, the lighter physics, the slightly fantastical elements in how you can now do things like glide, the ridiculously bright and stunning look to the entire game. I have a theory that Buddy Boy died during this stunt in the opening cinematic, and this is his personal heaven. A beautiful land of endless skateboarding possibilities where nothing as harsh as security will ever get in your way again. Yeah, there's no security in this game, although if you knock the same pedestrian down a few times, they will beat you up. In some cases, tase you, but yeah, that's one of those things that I always thought was a bit weird about this game, was how bright and sterile the game world looks. compare that to the previous game, which had a certain grittiness and griminess to the world, and this just feels comparatively unreal. Although I will say I do appreciate the fact that they did take a few steps to improve the aesthetic in these games, in the sense that they removed the overexposed look to the visuals. Though they also took away the fisheye look, which I'm not the biggest fan of. That was authenticity without getting in the way. Outside of the slightly less satisfying physics, does this game do anything new? Well, this time, instead of having one connecting sandbox, it now has 3 smaller sandboxes that exist independent of each other. I actually quite like that idea. It means you can have very distinctive areas without them clashing with each other. You know, you can't drive for 2 minutes outside the city and find yourself in a quarry, for example. So there's an increase in variety of locations, and the scale that they play around with is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not kidding when I say everything feels slightly bigger in this game, and there are a few instances where there are opportunities for absolutely ridiculous, unrealistic tricks, like this one area with a massive cliff.
You do not want to do this.
That was brilliant, Vault Hunter.
Every character is pretty well the same, barring the
Let's get
useless
that
of
channel
your
open to Atlas HQ.
So it doesn't cause any issues, but it's also not really a strength, so it's a completely new
Alright.
addition.
Connection to Atlas headquarters is still intact. When you're ready, Vault Hunter.
It's one of those games where everything it does well, but everything it does well was also done well by the game that preceded it. That's not a bad thing, but just military conflicts. If I had to put my finger on the main appeal of Skate 3 compared to the other 2 games, I guess there's more of an easygoing nature to this game generally. It's not as intensive as far as the mental load it puts on you, where you really needed to lock in while playing the first 2 games. I would say that Skate 3 offers a real Zen-like experience in that regard, where you're able to just mess around in a very world and you pretty much breeze through all the various challenges, and you get a host of really over-the-top areas to mess around in. And in that respect, what's there not to like? It may fall short in a few areas, but there's a few reasons why this is one of the most well-played games, and why it still has a cult fan base to this day. It is definitely its own experience. Skate 2 in such a way that it doesn't necessarily replace Skate 2. You can play these 2 games and get a completely unique experience, or at least as unique as you can get in this series. What about its opinion? Like the other 2 games, once you sell 1 million boards, you unlock the final challenge, which is yet another arena showdown, and the game pretty much peters out after that. And that, as they say, is that. Yet another relatively humdrum ending for a series that pretty much specializes in that. I'm just saying, guys, a little animation of you standing on a podium getting a medal or something, followed by the credits, that would be fine. I'm not asking for much, just some closure. But of course, closure, it's something you're going to get from this series generally, and it's kind of segue. So what happened to the Skate franchise? To be honest, I don't think anything in particular really felt the series was like any other franchise that I've walked through was this chick. I feel like they could have easily made Skate
Return of Bullets.
because by all accounts, the Skate franchise was still fairly popular by the time Skate 3 happened. Apparently, it was still selling pretty well as late as 2014, and petitions to make Skate 4 were pretty frequent. I think all this comes down to is EA being EA. They are the worst game publisher, full stop. They, more than any company, are so keen to kill their own franchises and
I have never known a time without my sisters. Even when one passes under new cyber deceits or markings, she always finds her way to the sisterhood. It seems the will of the universe that sirens be together, our lives entwined like an unseen braid.
It literally didn't have to be this way, and their justification for killing the series was vapid at best. Unfortunately, once the series died, the entire subgenre of skateboarding games kind of died along with it for a time. Outside of the first attempt at an HD remaster of the first two Tony Hawk games, there was a several-year period where there were basically no skateboarding games at all. People were crying out for something. Eventually, the skateboarding genre did come back in full force with both simulation and arcade-style games, and with this era of gaming being as open as it is, we'll likely never have a dry spell like that again. And it's with that in mind that I say I would have been fine if Skate stayed dead, to be honest. Mostly because I don't think Skate was ever doing something so unique that only they could do it. I backed Session Skate Sim on Kickstarter back in 2015, back when it was called Project Session. And I remember when a trailer for that got shown at E3, there were a bunch of people getting all pissy that it wasn't Skate 4, and I was like, it's that in all but name. Why are we so attached to footage? It's completely arbitrary.
Ammo! Without it,
So,
you just...
actually get the playing session, what you do is that there have only been...
Hi, you've reached Reese Strongport, CEO and wartime general of Atlas Corporation. Just a quick question. Who the hell is this and how did you get on my secure line?
Reese, relax. It's Lorelei. We've taken back Watershed Base with a little help. I've got... Hang about. What is that thing on your face?
Oh, this? This is my siege mustache. The troops love it. Anyway, who's your friend?
I'm a Vault Hunter. I'm on a mission for the Crimson Raiders.
Vault Hunter? Crimson? Holy crap, yes! Oh, how many troops did you bring? 20,000? 50,000?
Got me, got my mech. We'll be fine.
What? Oh, come on! I can't take back this city with a single-digit army!
They're good, Reese. Really good. And we need all the help we can get. Bandits are pouring into the city, and they're working with Malawan. Looks like Katagawa's made a deal with the Calypsos.
Perfect. Everybody's just piling on. Well, new friend, you showed up at the right time. My top agent is gearing up to strike at Malawan's strategic gigamind. If they are after the vaults, that's where the intel will be. Go meet up with my agent. Reese, out.
Right. While you go meet Reese's agent, I'm going to get this base back online and start securing more of the city. Oh, before you head off, I've got something for you. Since you're heading downtown, I'm hooking you up with a cyclone. It's fast and light, perfect for getting about the city streets. Take it for a spin.
new one from any terminal.
Got a job for you. What do you say we start civilizing this war-torn city again? Let's start with the most precious commodity.
Since my last video where I made a feature-length film going over my journey of speedrunning State 3, which took 2 months of solid slave